Car Cost Canada provides the dealer cost, a list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. The link is in the description below. Like every other brand in the marketplace, Subaru has built a strong following with all-wheel drive and utility vehicles. From the Crosstrek, the Outback, the Forester, and the new Ascent, they're all built on Subaru's global platform. Before all of those vehicles were in the marketplace, Subaru had this Legacy. 30 years later, this latest Legacy is also built on their new global platform that brings all kinds of benefits into the way it drives. Now, one criticism you could say, it doesn't look too different on the outside. You'll notice every trim in Canada gets standard LED headlamps. If you get the top two trims with the new turbocharged engine, you get dual exhaust tips around the back. Those certainly look good. I don't mind the wheels. I think they make the car look good. But it's when you get inside, things really start to get interesting. I will argue that this is a great alternative to buying a premium car. Now, have a look at this. I have been critical of Subaru interiors in the past for being a little bit too simplistic, having too much function and not enough fashion. Well, now they've combined those two things together to give you a real wow factor in a mainline car. Look at that screen in the center of the dash, 11.6 inches. It's broken up into quadrants. It's got information across the top like the time and the temperature outside. Below that is either your entertainment or maybe the navigation system. And at the bottom, you have your climate control. But here's the good thing. There's still hard keys for things like the volume and the temperature. It's all there. It's easy to use. The graphics are really quite large and simple. I think that looks first rate in a brand that isn't a premium brand. But now, as I go through this review, I'm going to make the argument, if you're shopping for a premium car, you should try this Legacy. And then you look around the dashboard, framing that big screen is a beautiful soft touch dash that has stitched vinyl. Even along the side of the center tunnel here is padded and stitched, looks like vinyl, so that looks first rate. So I think they've done a really nice job. And then on top of that, if you get the top trims, you have the ability to get the ventilated and heated Nappa leather seats. So this is an interior that's gone from kind of basic in the past to looking much more upscale. I think you should, if you can afford it, get that screen. So how does it work in the Canadian market? Well, the base model gets a 7-inch screen, kind of like the old version, but every other trim gets that beautiful large screen. And I think it's probably in your best interest to go up, because not only do you get the larger screen, you also go from steel wheels and hubcaps to alloy wheels. Stuff I think you should easily make the stretch to buy. And then the dimensions overall. So the wheelbase of this car remains the same from the previous model, but it's built on their new global platform. So it's a little bit wider. The track of the car is a little bit wider, and those are the dimensions you notice on the inside. More space side to side for growing North Americans with a large back seat. Now, Subaru said last night at dinner that they think this is the largest back seat in its class. I don't know, Passat maybe isn't in the same class anymore. Maybe it's gone full size. But yeah, the backseat of the Passat is bigger, but this is quite roomy. You can see as I sit in the back seat, there's plenty of room behind where I would typically keep my seat for leg room. They've done a really good job when it comes to space. Everybody's got plenty of room, lots of room to spread out. Now, as we get going, I just want to talk about the screens. On the top three screens, the large screen, you get onboard navigation, but Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is standard on all screens. A couple of other changes include standard start-stop technology for the engines. All but the base get automatic reverse emergency braking, a driver focus system on the top trims that uses face detection. So when the driver enters the car, it goes to presets like the radio, seat position, and mirrors. It can also tell if the driver is looking away and inattentive from the road and will give you a warning. So Subaru is trying to inject some excitement into a class of car that people are leaving. They're running away to SUVs, and their whole tactic with this car is let's keep some of those traditional sedan buyers happy with new features like this beautiful interior, but also maybe attract some people to this car from other mid-sized competitors like Accord and Camry. So first of all, what does Subaru have that the others don't? Standard all-wheel drive. There's another new competitor in with standard all-wheel drive, and that's the Altima. But this car has the added layer of opting following for the turbocharged four-cylinder that we first had a chance to drive with great success, by the way, in the Ascent SUV. So 2.4 liters, it has 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque, and it goes through a continuously variable transmission to all four wheels. So how would I describe the power delivery? Well, here's where I'm going with my whole review on this. When you look at the inside of these higher trims and the big screens, and then you get this smooth surge, a wave of torque and power coming out of this engine through a continuously variable transmission that is made in-house by Subaru, it all comes together to provide a much more upscale feel than you would expect from a brand like this. And then you layer on top the independent rear suspension, the wider track, the new global platform, the stiffer platform, the sound insulation, all of the things come together, in my opinion, to make these top trims anyway a premium car alternative. I really do believe that. Now, for price-conscious buyers, you can still get the 2.5-liter boxer engine. It has 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. Here's the good news. In Canada, Subaru wasn't as aggressive as the United States when it came to putting Eyesight in on every trim. Now it is. The Eyesight system is rather aggressive in warning the driver, and sometimes, especially on twisty roads, I found it better to switch the lane departure intervention off. Also, the automatic cruise control now uses the stereo cameras embedded in Eyesight to help keep the Legacy in the middle of the lane, providing semi-autonomous driving. It will even follow the vehicle in front when lines are not detected. The driver still needs to keep their hands on the wheel. So I'll do an acceleration run for you. Here we'll get down to 0 and then mash it, and the turbo comes on, the CVT catches up, and acceleration is good. It's not snapping your head back. I find this engine is happiest in the mid RPM range. Like now I'm up to speed. It has mimicked gears in the transmission, like steps that actually let the vehicle drop a virtual gear and take off. I think if you can afford it, the turbo would be much more satisfying to drive. So before we wrap up here, let's get into the price. In Canada, the base model starts at $26,000. I strongly urge you to go one trim up. You go from steel wheels and hubcaps to alloy wheels. You get the larger screen, you get the push button start, and that is around $30,000. And then if you want to get the first turbocharged version, that is $37,000, and then the top trim that we're in here today is $39,000. But, back to my original point. If you start shopping at some premium brand offerings, you will see that this car has a lot to offer compared to some premium brands. And I strongly encourage you to try this vehicle if you like a smooth, quiet, refined surge of power with a nice interior. This would be a place that you would be happy. Plus now comes standard with Eyesight on all trims. So talk about the outside very quickly. There's not a lot to talk about because this is the one area where I think they could have tried a little bit harder, and that is on styling. The good news is all Legacies now get standard LED headlamps, so that's very good. However, the design is not that exciting looking. It's an evolution of what they've already been doing. They said to us that people that buy these cars like the way it looks. They want it to continue the way it looks. Yeah, well, that's good for the limited number of people that buy it now, but if you're wanting to expand it, they probably could have tried a little bit harder when it comes to styling. But other than that, I think that this is much improved Legacy. Absolutely. Is it going to move the needle? You tell me. Is this a car that would have you interested in trying it? Not buying it, just heading to the dealership and giving it a shot. Tell me what you think. The all-new Subaru Legacy. In 2 weeks, I'm going way up north in Canada to the Yukon Territory to drive the station wagon SUV based on this, Outback. Now that, I think, is going to be exciting. Car Cost Canada provides the dealer cost, a list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. The link is in the description below.